The impossible bridge: why Africa and Europe remain divided. For centuries, the narrow Strait of Gibraltar has symbolized both connection and separation between Africa and Europe. While modern engineering marvels have spanned greater distances, the idea of a physical bridge linking these two continents remains elusive. Geological challenges, political complexities, and environmental concerns all stand in the way. Yet, the divide is not just physical, it is cultural, historical, and economic. Understanding these barriers reveals why the impossible bridge is more than a matter of construction. It's a reflection of deeper divides. Picture this. It's 1869, and the world watches in awe as French engineer Ferdinand de Lesseps completes the impossible, the Suez Canal. Ships that once took months to navigate around Africa's treacherous cape now glide through a man-made waterway in mere days. Yet as champagne flutes clinked in celebration, a whispered question echoed through Europe's halls of power. If we can slice through continents, why can't we bridge them? That question would haunt engineers, politicians, and dreamers for over 150 years. Today, as you read this, Africa and Europe remain separated by a mere 14 kilometers of water at the Strait of Gibraltar. Close enough to see across, yet impossibly far apart. This isn't just a story about engineering. It's a tale of hubris, geology, geopolitics, and the ghosts of empire that continue to shape our world. The geological nemesis. The Mediterranean isn't just any body of water. It's a geological battleground where continents collide in slow motion. Here lies our first villain in this epic tale, the seafloor itself. While the English Channel, successfully bridged by the Channel Tunnel, sits on relatively stable chalk beds, the Strait of Gibraltar presents a nightmare of shifting tectonics. The African and Eurasian plates grind against each other here with relentless force, creating underwater canyons that plunge to depths of over 900 meters. Imagine trying to build a bridge foundation while standing on two enormous stone slabs that are constantly, imperceptibly sliding past each other. The Gibraltar Arc, as geologists call it, is one of the most seismically active regions in the Mediterranean, where earthquakes regularly remind us that this is no place for humanity's grand ambitions. But geology alone didn't stop the dreamers. In 1928, German engineer Hermann Sergel proposed perhaps the most audacious plan in human history: drain the entire Mediterranean Sea. His Atlantroa project would dam Gibraltar, lower sea levels by 100 meters, and create a land bridge between the continents. The man wasn't thinking small. He envisioned powering all of Europe with hydroelectric energy while literally reshaping the map of the world, the political labyrinth. Yet even as Sorgel sketched his fantastical blueprints, darker forces were already making such cooperation impossible. The second act of our story unfolds in the colonial boardrooms of Europe, where maps were redrawn with rulers, and the fates of millions decided over brandy and cigars, Spain's grip on Morocco, France's control over Algeria and Tunisia, and Britain's naval dominance of Gibraltar created a web of competing interests that made any major infrastructure project a diplomatic minefield. Who would fund such a bridge? Who would control it? Which laws would govern this corridor between continents? These questions revealed the fundamental truth that would plague every subsequent proposal. Great engineering requires great trust, and trust was in short supply between colonial powers and their subjects. The decolonization movements of the mid-20th century only complicated matters further. As African nations fought for independence, the idea of European-funded megaprojects reeked of neocolonialism. The bridge became a symbol not of unity, but of Europe's continued desire to extract value from Africa. Whether resources, labor, or strategic advantage, the engineering phantom, the mid-story revelation. Here's where our tale takes an unexpected turn. In 1979, as disco dominated the airwaves, Spanish and Moroccan engineers quietly began serious feasibility studies for a tunnel beneath the Strait of Gibraltar. Not a bridge, a tunnel boring through the seafloor like a giant mechanical mole. For decades, this project has lived in the shadows, periodically surfacing in technical journals and diplomatic meetings, always just 10 to 15 years away from reality. The proposed tunnel would stretch 27 kilometers underground, nearly twice the length of the Channel Tunnel, through some of the most challenging geological conditions on Earth. The estimated cost? A staggering 10 to 15 billion euros, making it one of the most expensive infrastructure projects in human history. Yet, unlike the mythical bridge, this tunnel exists in detailed blueprints, environmental impact assessments, and signed memorandums of understanding. So why hasn't it been built? The answer reveals the third act of our story, the brutal mathematics of economics and migration, the economics of division. Every bridge or tunnel between Africa and Europe would fundamentally alter global trade routes, but not necessarily in ways that benefit the powers financing it. The Suez Canal generates over $6 billion annually for Egypt by controlling access between Europe and Asia. A direct Africa-Europe crossing might redirect some of this traffic, but it wouldn't create new trade. It would simply shift existing profits. Meanwhile, the elephant in the room grows larger each year: migration. European policymakers know that any physical connection to Africa would become a superhighway for human movement. The same tunnel designed to carry goods would inevitably carry people seeking better lives, political asylum, or simply the opportunity to work. In an era where migration dominates political discourse, no European government wants to be responsible for opening such a direct route. This creates a cruel irony. The bridge remains unbuilt not because we lack the technology, but because we've created a world where connection itself seems threatening. The same globalization that makes the bridge economically attractive also makes it politically toxic, the modern mirage. Today, as climate change accelerates and renewable energy reshapes global economics, new proposals emerge periodically. Engineers now speak of floating bridges using advanced materials, underwater cities, or even pneumatic transport tubes. Each proposal promises to overcome the obstacles that doomed its predecessors, yet each faces the same fundamental challenges that have persisted for over a century. The African Union speaks optimistically of continental integration, while European leaders champion infrastructure investment. Solar power from the Sahara could theoretically flow through underwater cables to European cities, making the economic case stronger than ever. Yet the bridge remains a mirage, always visible on the horizon, but never quite reachable. The final revelation and the haunting truth. Perhaps the most unsettling truth about the missing bridge between Africa and Europe is that its absence is intentional. The Strait of Gibraltar serves not as a barrier to overcome, but as a moat carefully maintained. Every technological advance that makes the bridge more feasible also makes its absence more deliberate. The 14 kilometers of water between Tarifa and Tangier represent more than geographical distance. They embody the persistent inequality between global north and south, the legacy of colonialism, and the modern world's inability to envision true cooperation between unequal partners. The bridge exists in our imagination because we can build it. It remains unbuilt because we choose not to. In the end, the question isn't why there's no bridge between Africa and Europe. The question is what we're afraid would happen if we built one. Until we answer that honestly, the Strait of Gibraltar will remain what it has always been, not just a body of water, but a monument to the distances we maintain between ourselves and others. The bridge that could unite continents remains unbuilt because, perhaps, we prefer our continents divided. And in that preference lies the most revealing chapter of human history never written.